Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 466 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Taco Malda, and I am joined today by two of the greatest geeks that you're ever going to meet who are willing to pretend that they are in pods in orbit while they record a thing which will eventually become a pod in and of itself. I have a Rob Roseboom.
Whoa, my mind is blown.
And a Chris DeBona.
My mind is mostly confused, you know. Did you mean like a Kubernetes pod? Like
I meant like a
when,
podcast.
It's deployed
like
through
we're in a
the
space.
podcast stuff?
We're in space pods, which is the premise of the title of the episode of the show, and then we are on a podcast, which also contains the word pod. So it's basically the same thing.
Oh, I thought we were in like storage pods or something.
That's possible too.
I have to be honest with you. The whole like low Earth orbit thing, we're so inconsistent about it.
Look, I am very concerned about my oxygen levels, and at any moment, things in zero gravity could float behind me. I actually had, like, Kristen might float behind Rob.
Yeah, see?
Zero gravity. My kids yesterday were screwing around with the green screen. They had a green blanket, and they were, like, hiding their faces and stuff. So, like, at this point, I feel like I should have, like, them, like, walking behind me and, like, carrying objects in zero G.
That's actually a great idea. Yeah. That would at least, you know, honestly, the whole the conceit behind the low Earth orbit in Geeks in Space has always sort of fell flat for me. It's like,
should we like go a little higher up? Like, is your issue like that the repeating burns that we have to do to maintain drag? To resist drag?
Now that everyone's in low Earth orbit, it just feels you know, a little less exclusive, I guess. I don't know.
Well, maybe in the next SpaceX delivery.
Earth is on fire, man. Earth is on fire. I feel like we're joking around while the planet is burning. You know, it's like we have pandemics. We have multiple pandemics now. We got Ebola and we have COVID.
Yep.
You know.
This is fine.
We have Airbnb automatically canceling reservations within 48 hours. I mean, it's crazy. The world has gone nuts.
It's weird to me that that when you list problems in the world, that you list Airbnb cancellations so high on the list.
Well, it is one of the signs of the apocalypse, if I'm not mistaken. You know,
checks out
boils, pestilence,
blood moon.
I've got a little rash.
Yeah,
and then Airbnb canceling.
Yep, and locusts. Locusts.
Yep.
Well, there's cicada. You know, there's the regular cicada outbreaks in various places. So we've got that covered.
I don't think they call those outbreaks. I think they call them like hatchings.
Yeah, I think you're honestly. So when I was a kid, they had the regular cicada thing happen in Virginia, and it was the most disgusting time in my childhood. They were everywhere. They were all over. Like every car was just covered in like cicada carcasses.
It's super gross.
So gross. Yeah.
Every 13
years.
You
know, it would have been really good if while Trump was walking to his church after they cleared it with tear gas, if there was like a cicada attack, and he was just like, cicadas, and then he ends up choking on them.
Unfortunately, I don't think cicadas like tear gas either.
I don't think they like
much like peaceful protesters.
They also
don't like tear gas.
It's true. All right. I have to talk about serious events at the end. So maybe let's talk about a couple of fun things.
Yeah, sure.
I put up a cool paper that somebody wrote on basically math and making espresso. And I only share this with you guys because I have, over the course of the last decade and change, had many espresso machines and gone through many different procedures and rituals for the making of espressos and the grinding of espressos and the consistency of every single component. And I'm just glad that there's a paper out there that, is basically enumerating, kind of the results of the same thing that I did for many years.
And it's from Oregon, I guess. Is it the University of Oregon that this came from? Which is very
well known,
appropriate. I mean,
their coffee.
They're super into coffee there, and I mean, Portlandia has shown us, that when it comes. I mean, look, they quote frisky goat espresso in Australia. They like their sources list is hilarious. Or maybe that's their co-author places of study. You know, I just this paper is actually it's a joy.
Yeah.
Present address: Saint Ali Coffee Roasters, 1218 Yarra Place, South Melbourne, in Victoria, Australia.
It's amusing as hell.
They're coming from coffee shops.
Yeah.
You know, not and the Faculty of Mathematics at Cambridge.
I don't know. I was really amused. They had like all the stuff that, I mean, I've read in coffee forums over the years, you know, because that's what you do, right? You subscribe to forums and you read, you know, 15 years of back history, and when you learn a new subject. So
wait a second. So they have the fines, which I'm assuming are the finely ground coffee, and then they have something called the boulders, which are the less finely ground. And
grind consistency is a critical part of espresso.
Well, I'm sure. You know, I don't drink coffee.
I know.
Yeah, really me either. But I do appreciate any group that can geek out like that. You know, like model train guys, coffee guys, home brewers. Yeah, great.
I was tickled because when I was learning what I had to learn, like a lot of it is just in this paper, but it was really just funny to me to read this presented as an academic piece of literature instead of just dudes on forums like, you can't use a blade grinder, man, it'll ruin your coffee.
You got to use a burr grinder if you and you need one that has an output, not just, you know, you're banging around in there. That's crazy.
Yeah, you're animals.
Yeah, we did. My wife, we got a burr grinder that processes accordingly.
I've gone through probably 5 burr grinders over the years. Yeah, but also I've probably gone through maybe 8 or 9 espresso machines because I have a tendency to they break and then I send them back. Like Breville has lost thousands of dollars on me. Because of the sheer number of coffee grinders and the sheer number of espresso machines that they have had to replace. And I don't do anything weird. I just make 3 or 4 espressos a day.
That's probably more than your doctor would recommend. But the thing I was going to mention to you is, weren't you an aerobi guy?
Yeah.
The coffee
I've done those
guy?
too.
Yeah, and do you not do them anymore? Or
I mean, I do. I have it, and I use it when the power goes out, and I can get kettle. I can only get water like off of a kettle. But yeah, I that's fine. I'm all in on the Robi. But I also really like just having an espresso machine for a number of reasons, but not the least of which is the fact that I always have like the access to like 10 ounces of almost boiling water. Which is really great for just like casually making tea, the casual bowl of oatmeal. It's just really nice to always have that extra thing of hot water just available at all times. It's kind of great.
Yeah, we've had here almost every device that makes coffee, you know, from French presses to Keurigs to, you know, more fancy implements. And we're back to just the good old bun.
Yeah.
You know, good old grind the beans.
Well, so
Parts
for school
can't
events
break.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go on.
No, for a long time, my wife ran the walkathon at my son's school, my daughter's school. And so she has these 2, industrial, 5-gallon percolators or whatever,
Right.
With the big pan of ground
Ready
at the
for
top
church.
and everything. Yeah, no. So she has 2 of them, right? And so she would just keep the coffee flowing to the parents as they're watching their kids go around the laps, and and people are like, "Wow, this coffee is so good. How do you make it?" She's like,
Burr grinder and scoop.
Well, no, because we have. I mean, it's too much grounds for us to grind at home, so we just have Pete's do it. It's General Dixon's, and so she just like puts like a pound of grounds in the percolator cap and runs the water through, and they're like, "Wow, this is so good." And she's like, "It's just drip coffee."
It's just people don't use real beans a lot of times too.
Yep. It's
well, they
good
also
beans,
call it pour over now. So
good beans and appropriate temperature water. Can't be too hot.
Yeah.
That's a secret.
Indeed. But that's why, I mean, I do pour over too when we lose power as well. I make coffee in any conceivable way. I just like coffee. Okay, so There's another one on there that's fun.
Good.
There's another one that's on there that's fun.
Let's do it.
Which is
let's get it out of our system.
The Blender Procedural Spaceships, which is actually really neat. Somebody algorithmically generates spaceships. They like take a square, they extrude a face, they have rules that you can twiddle with, and then they have samples of spaceships, which is really just neat to see.
Yeah, I think I love this stuff so much. You have. I think this one's a little older too. I mean, this guy's been doing this one for a while. I think I saw it earlier on.
Probably.
He tends to go more towards the long ships, in his algorithm. They're stacky. He doesn't go Borgy. He doesn't go, saucer section. He
had a lot of different variants, and like he showed examples of twiddling around with different bits, and he actually ended up with some like really long spindly things that could be like alien insect-ish.
Like the shadow ships or the
I don't know. I enjoyed it tremendously, and I've been looking for a Blender project, and that's something that's kind of tickling me, and I might be playing with that soon. I have an article on...
I've got Blender on this machine. I can just go do this instead of think about the world burning down around us.
Dude, that's not a horrible way to spend an afternoon. There's also an article on virtual offices, which I thought was very amusing. We've talked a lot about this, but people are getting sick of the Zoom calls, and they're trying to mix it up, and that started with people doing things like hanging out on campfires in Red Dead Redemption, and, Second Life. We tried all sorts of weird stuff with that too, like using Ventrilo or TeamSpeak or something, even like 15, 20 years ago, to try to maintain virtual offices. But like, I feel like that to me is one of those cases for when we get augmented reality, like working even a little bit. Like that's the case that I want. I want my AR headset, and I want it, in a form factor that doesn't make me look stupid like a Google Glass, but like I want it to be the weight that fits on my head and then puts a holographic Rob Roseboom sitting right there on my couch.
That's it.
That's what I want.
Okay. Uriah was telling me about someone he knew who had taken a screenshot from his desk camera, and he was using that as his background to convince people that he was still at the office. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I know. Aaron and Uriah both, they basically look like they're sitting in the makerspace in Ann Arbor. And it's great, honestly. And like Aaron went a little further, and it's actually a motion background. So, and it did fool me the first time. I was like, Aaron, you're not supposed to be in the office. And he's like, not. I'm like, cool. So yeah, I aspire to be like them. I was going to go and take footage from my huddle in Mountain View.
Well, now that you're using OBS for your camera, that sort of thing is actually trivial.
When my son hasn't stolen my green screen, you mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the problem with spawns. All right. So this one made me happy, and it's older, but I wanted to share it. The Time Machine Star Wars Viewing Order. Have either of you heard of this one?
Is this where you start with the Life Day animated series?
That'd be pretty cool too. So, I mean, you guys know that, you can watch them in release order, you can watch them in chronological order, and you can watch them in machete order, where you watch 4 and 5, then jump back to 2 and 3, and then jump back to 6. But this one is the Time Machine order, where you actually have to go and get the original George Lucas cuts of Star Wars, the pre-special edition versions, of which you can get low-res versions on Laserdisc, or you can get the various despecialized versions that are available. But then you have to watch the original trilogy in its original glory. Then you go and watch the prequels. And then you have to watch 4, 5, and 6 again, but you have to watch the special edition versions. So then you have watched them in Time Machine version.
Sounds brutal.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. I recently watched the prequels just to see if I was being a snob. I wasn't. They're awful.
There's a lot of problems.
They're just awful. They're abusively terrible.
I enjoy half of 3.
Two in particular is really, really bad. I think it's worse than the first one.
You know, I go back and forth on which one's worse. I rewatched all of them in the lead up to 9, and yeah. 2 is worse from a story perspective. 1 is worse from an acting perspective. The performances in 1 are so bad, just so bad. Okay, before we go to the sad things, just a reminder to Jake to watch Brainstorm. I'm 30 minutes in, and I'm actually kind of loving it. It's kind of fantastic.
It's a fantastic movie.
I'm about that far in too, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm going to save my thoughts for tomorrow.
I just wanted to make sure that Jake knew.
Yeah.
All right, so the last thing that I have on my list is...
Wait.
Oh, we got a good thing?
I've loaded the spaceship generator.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just about to hit mesh spaceship. So let me share my screen.
Oh,
this
good.
will be very exciting, right?
I hope
this
that this
is what we should be doing.
Oh, totally. I hope that whatever you do is going to get weirdly cropped in OBS. Oh, nope, because it only popped in the lower right-hand corner. That's great.
Okay. So apparently mesh, and then I should find spaceship. Where's spaceship?
Spaceship. Gonna go full Lego movie on us.
Space. Where'd it go? Where's the... Okay, there it is. 3D view under add mesh spaceship. Okay.
So Rob, while Chris is doing that, how are you doing? You feeling all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. How about you?
On the OBS screen, you're straight under me. So if I look down and then you look up, it'll look like we're having an intimate conversation. And then like the fact that Chris is here. Oh, Chris is on this side. Yeah. Then like we can be all like, he's not. Yeah. Don't pay any attention to this guy. He's screwing around with his mesh.
I'm not doing a good job so far. Just for the record. I actually don't use Blender at all, so I'm just a mess.
It felt like the Brady Bunch for a minute there, you know.
I was thinking, yeah. So let's see. There are riots everywhere. It's pretty great.
Most places.
It's pretty great.
What surprised me is how many international riots there are. People in other countries rioting, that's the part that surprises me the most.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The thing that breaks my heart is seeing companies like putting up their like black screens or whatever and their slogans. And I'm like, this is really not any different than what's been going on in Hong Kong. And you guys, your profit margins are too important to do this for Hong Kong. Thanks. Cool. It's a PR stunt and it makes me sad. But well, I find that every day I believe in less and less because I am now old and jaded.
To believe that any corporation doesn't put profits above everything else is, I mean, that's just, it's a business. That's what they do, right?
Sigh. So I'm still not allowed to go downtown, which is actually a problem to go back to the earlier conversation because I'm about 72 hours away from running out of coffee.
I'll do this later. Wait, what? My goodness. Didn't you order like a all of them?
I go through 1.5 pounds a week.
That's a fair amount.
It's a fair amount. Well, I mean, I'm not the only one drinking it. My wife
is that a lot?
Too.
I mean, my wife has those cans, you know, the big cans,
when you
vacuum sealed beans. You know,
when you factor in the coffee enemas, it's really not that much.
It's the only way to keep the colon properly cleaned.
We call them colonics in California.
Coffee colonics, yeah, that's classy.
Coffee colonics.
That does actually sound like something that somebody in LA would do. Speaking of LA, did I tell you guys about my mystery package that's been sitting in LA since like May 1?
No.
It shipped. I got a tracking number for something. I had no idea what it was, like May 1. And it's been sitting there, and like it's in Indiana today. So I'm actually kind of excited that I'm going to find out what the mystery package that's been obviously held up in customs now for 35 days. I didn't order anything.
Maybe your wife is getting you a better looking face. Sick burn.
Oh, yep. I see what you did there with your sick burning.
Yeah, sorry.
That was dope.
I'm not good at sick burning.
That was dope.
You know.
We've taken to referring to my children as Tweedle Yeet and Tweedle Dab because they are so good at the sick burns.
My daughter used the word yeet in a sentence, and I had to ask her what the hell it meant, you know, because she said that the cat yeeted itself, tried to yeet itself off the balcony, and I'm like, wait, what does yeet mean, you know?
Did she demonstrate dabbing for you so that you would know that it was yeet?
Oh, come on. You know, I have a son. I know what dabbing is.
All right, cool. There's a lot of both dabbing and yeeting in my house. Yeah. So let's see. Jackson, is Jackson safe, Rob?
Well, as safe as it ever is. So I was, as I discussed earlier, they've been closing down big businesses. Walmart's been closing at 5. Places are boarding up the windows in preparation for this week. But so far, it hasn't been bad.
That's cool.
It's actually worse out your way.
Yeah.
As far as, you know, people blocking roads and ability to move around, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's been interesting reading the various subreddits from people who are downtown and just like watching what's actually happening. I mean, I'm in the sticks, relatively speaking. I am far away from anything approaching a protest. But man,
yeah, I'm in the sticks literally. So actually, the worst part of the state has been probably Grand Rapids. You know? Or West Side,
which is weird.
Are they protesting Betsy DeVos and the Amway family?
Unfortunately, not.
No, they are the gods of that land.
But they have
horrifying.
They have destroyed quite a few buildings, a lot of property, burning cars,
and a lot of people's lives.
Speaking of coffee, they've destroyed a lot of coffee shops.
Really? Wow. Why are they so against big coffee?
Probably because corporations didn't protest properly when it was in Hong Kong, and it was only a matter of time before authoritarianism and fascism then became unstopped in the United States, given that our leadership is essentially no different than the one in China.
There's a lot to unpack there, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, you start with, you know, people are not doing things that they should have done because they didn't do them in China, and aren't we the same as China relationship with?
Dude, I learned how to write on the internet.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting thing that came out yesterday. I guess Boris Johnson's like, we're going to give a fast pass to citizenship for Hong Kong residents. And I'm like, that is just wacky, dude. You know, what is going on?
So they won't let in
there was a
people
lot
from
of damage
France?
when he had COVID. It's weird, right? I'm like, oh, okay, you know, it seems like a weird hill to die on, buddy, but okay.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Hong Kong has, I suppose, tighter relations to the UK. It's got a history there.
Well, I mean, the handover was what, 1997?
93?
Yeah. And it's just weird. I don't know. Everything's weird.
It's really weird though, right? Like we're scared of Germany and France and Italy. But Hong Kong, come on in. That guy's changed, maybe. Do you think he grew? Do you think he like his heart grew 2 sizes like the Grinch?
Yeah.
No,
that's what it is.
Maybe it's like, you know, the virus, you know, none of us have had COVID as far as we know.
Oh, you're saying that COVID is truly an engineered virus to make people want to adopt Hong Kong residents?
Oh.
Yes.
Whoa.
That's not what they don't do that, dude.
It's like pod people.
Chris, have you found yourself with an incredible need to adopt a Hong Kong high school girl, perhaps?
Can you?
No, that'd be a very awkward conversation with my wife.
Can you hear the voices of all the other COVID survivors in your brain?
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I'm
that'd
saying
be a
it's
fun
like
science fiction novel.
It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
All
That's
right.
what's going on.
That's what's going on.
So when they're giving out the immunity, when they're giving out the COVID immunity card, what that really is letting you know that you're one of the people. What is it in They Live? Who's taken off the sunglasses?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know that.
I'm going to create we should create OBS filters so that as we're talking, it goes black and white, and then you see like they, obey, and this is your God, and
consume.
That'd be fine.
Consume.
Yeah,
that's another movie that. Go ahead, Rob.
I don't know that that's a fact. I just feel like it's true.
It's truthy.
And isn't it too good to check?
Yeah.
Is there any other stories? Wait, okay. Oh, so I guess that his Section 230 order is already coming under court scrutiny. Shock.
Mm-hmm.
Said nobody. This guy just thinks, government's something you make up while you're on the toilet.
Yep.
I'm not a particularly religious man, but if I were, I would say perhaps somebody tear gassing priests and people in front of a church, walking across the road, standing in front of it with a Bible upside down. Maybe that's the Antichrist. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, because the Bible, it didn't look right. I mean, he was just like, "What is this
object,
odd piece of paper wood?"
My favorite one that you see every now and then is whenever you see a picture of Trump and his sons, they look like centaurs. They stand like centaurs that have had their back halves removed. If you just look at their posture is weird. They got like a weird.
Yeah, they're still not used to driving around their meat bodies.
They should talk to Zuckerberg. He seems like he's mostly got it straightened out at this point.
No, he's an android for sure. He's in the Star Trek universe.
Member of the Borg Collective. Yeah, it took like 3 days.
Can you help me with something about the whole Facebook thing? Because I don't really use Facebook. Isn't it just like a site that people trade photos and stuff on?
No.
And I mean, is it really that important that it's driven? Or are they just like the whipping boy?
It's everything Google wishes that it could be, because
because
it controls the dominant input for the majority of Americans. It is the information dominant. You log in to see the picture of your niece at her birthday party, and alongside it, you are fed 3 ads and 2 pieces of information from your weird uncle. So, if you are my family member who does not watch TV to get news, it is the only thing putting information into your head that you didn't ask for. It is so potent, so powerful, and you are hooked, and you have no other choice, because where else are you going to get a picture of your niece and nephew's birthday party?
Yeah, for me, it's just mostly about being able to keep up with family without actually having to talk with them.
Yep.
And those people that you sort of, not your real friends, but your tertiary friends or people from school, stuff like that. And also any sort of D&D game that we got, we have a Facebook page for it so we can keep everything in order.
Yep. It's hands down the best way to get a small group together. If they're not technically savvy enough to use a Discord or a Slack channel. But the fact is whenever you're using these systems for, you get all the other stuff shoved into you, in parallel, and there's nothing you can do about it. They're not in parallel, I guess, in sequence, interstitially. It's terrifying. I log onto there, and I systematically unfollowed everybody who ever posted anything racist. And so now my Facebook is pretty dang quiet. I mean, Roseboom is not particularly active on Facebook, but Rob, I see you more than almost anybody else, because that's how many people I've unfollowed. I'm down to a dozen people that.
Yeah. And I might post 1 or 2 things a month, really. if that.
Right.
So.
But no,
I'm not trying to be like, oh, I don't even watch TV, or I only watch PBS. But are people so very undurable that they can't just look at their racist Uncle Ron and go, that's racist Uncle Ron, forget that guy. I mean,
you've read all the studies, right? Even if you're exposed to things that you don't know by being exposed, but by things that are untrue or things that you don't believe in, being exposed to them repeatedly, eventually you just believe it, or it normalizes it. So you just think of it as being an okay perspective. And we're no different, right? I mean, I've unfollowed everybody. Like I read Fox News on a regular basis. That's where I get my
which
other
I don't
side.
get. I mean, why bother?
Because I want to know what's going on the other side.
Yeah, you have to know.
And I don't even think that I'm particularly left-leaning. I think I'm actually relatively moderate. But I think that since the center has moved so far to the right, that I find myself more left than I am. But the people on the right, there is some loony out there, and no different on the left. There's loony on the left too. It's just that the line has moved so far in the last decade that people we've normalized a bunch of really crazy ideas. And I mean, it goes back to schooling, right? It goes back to anti-vaxxers and you gotta get science out of classrooms, and we're raising a generation of kids who don't actually we saw this in the 90s. Evolution is just a theory. I mean, I guess if you want to be pedantic about it, but that just reflects that you don't understand how science works.
Yeah, you just don't understand what a scientific theory is.
Right.
That's the problem.
Which means we didn't educate you in the 70s and 80s properly. And now America looks like Hong Kong.
Okay.
I'm happy. Everything's great.
So we got that going for us, which is great.
Yep. But I'm going to watch the rest of Brainstorm. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
Should we say goodbye and then I'll go be sad?
Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do.
All right.
I've got too much videos to go through to be sad.
Too busy. All right.
I got time to be sad.
That's right. Sleep when you'll be sad when you're dead. This has been episode 466 of Geeks in Space. I'd like to thank Rob Roseboom.
That's me. I'll see you later.
Chris DeBona.
Yeah. Sorry I'm so down about the world stage, everybody. I know you come here for a jovial escape from what's happening. And we've failed you today.
It's not the first time. It won't be the last, Chris.
Probably not until November.
Right? All right. I'm Rob Commander Taco Malda. Stay safe. Keep your hands washed and cleaned, and look out for scary stuff because it's everywhere now. Pretty cool, right? Hey.
A lot of music.